So I love Five Nights at Freddy's fan games, and I've played a lot of fan games in my time as a FNAF fan. Now of course, as we all know, Five Nights at Freddy's fan games are fan-made games based off of Five Nights at Freddy's. It's pretty self-explanatory. However, what if I told you that the foundations of what makes a FNAF game a FNAF fan game can go much further than that? Sometimes there can even be fan games of a FNAF fan game, although it usually just depends on how popular the fan game is. But recently, I have found a bunch of fan games that are fan games of a fan game that was not popular or even released to the public. But yet so many incarnations have been made over the years, and as time went on, they became bigger and better in quality. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you the Those Nights at Fredbears fan games. If you used to watch Fusion Z Gamer or 8-Bit Ryan in the past, like I have, you probably encountered a video or two of these guys playing a fan game called Those Nights at Fredbears with the word remake next to it. You also probably have wondered, what does that even mean? Why is that game called Remake? Okay, realistically you probably didn't. You more likely were just commenting a name of a random FNAF character to win a fake console giveaway or something. But hold up guys, before we continue this video, I'm doing an epic PS5 giveaway with a free copy of FNAF Wanted 2. But all you gotta do is submit a really wholesome comment. Just suck my own dick, basically, and you may be a winner. It's that easy. But let's just pretend. Let's say that you did. Well, here's a bit of a history lesson. So Those Nights at Fredbears itself was a planned free roam FNAF fan game that began development all the way back in 2015 by the man himself, Nixon. The same man who created such great classics like Bonzi Bonnie.
Well, hello there. Expand on long time no see.
Nothing's gonna change my love for you. You wanna know my...
Oh yeah, and also the Jaw of Creation. At the time, free roam in FNAF fan games was something that was completely unheard of back in the day. So as you can imagine, this fan game got a lot of fans excited for its release. I myself remembered watching the trailers for Those Nights at Fredbears as a kid, and the jump scares in those trailers used to really terrify me. But unfortunately, that fan game never got released as the files for the game got corrupted, and at that same time, Nixon got hacked, causing him to lose all of the files. And so, the game got cancelled. And instead, he released a tribute game called Those Nights at Rachel's, along with the best April Fool's joke ever, and then later on went to make the Jaw of Creation. And so, with the help of Nixon and Everything Animations releasing the character models on the Steam Workshop, this allowed a bunch of people to begin making their own Those Nights at Fredbears games. And thus, the Those Nights at Fredbears rabbit hole was born. But what are these fan games like? Are they any good, or are they very fucking shit? Well, that's exactly what we're gonna find out today. In this video, I'll be reviewing some Those Nights at Fredbears fan games that have caught my eye, and I'll be seeing whether they still live up today or not. And those games are Those Nights at Fredbears are from 2019, and Those Nights at Fredbears New Destiny from last year. Now, before I begin, I just want to say a couple of disclaimers. One, I'm very well aware that there are more Those Nights at Fredbears games out there than just the two I'm reviewing. But the reason why I'm reviewing just two is because these were the only fan games I could find on GameJolt. So unfortunately, I couldn't be able to include such great classics like the 2016 Those Nights at Fredbears remake, etc. because they either got taken down or I just couldn't find them anywhere. Sorry. And two, the script for this video was actually written all the way back in the summer of last year, and this was also written at a time where I was more cynical than I am now. So of course, when I decided to make this video again, I had to change it and update it a lot. So if anything in the video sounds a little weird or out of place, then that's probably why. Anyway, now that we have our batch, let's begin the review of the Those Nights at Fredbears fan games. So Those Nights at Fredbears is a free roam FNAF fan game that was released on GameJolt in 2019, developed by Aidan Kelly. If any of you are long-time viewers on the channel, you would know that Aidan Kelly also made the Five Nights at Freddy's Final Hours trilogy, which are very good fan games, by the way. Check them out. I already made a whole big-ass retrospective on Final Hours, though, so give that a watch if you're interested in knowing more about that. But we're not talking about Final Hours, though. We're talking about Those Nights at Fredbears R. So Those Nights at Fredbears R is a game all about a mother who has taken the job at Fredbear's family diner as a night shift security guard. But in actuality, she has taken the job so she could look for her daughter who got abducted in the restaurant during the day.
Hello. I was wondering if you could help me. My daughter Lily, she was at a birthday party at your diner and and she hasn't come back yet. I'm really worried. Could you maybe check to see if she's still there? Hello? Is someone...
Oh, don't worry. She's here, and she's alright.
I'm pretty sure I don't need to say who abducted her, it's fucking obvious. In the game, your task is to look for clues as to what might have happened to her daughter, all while trying to avoid the Fredbear, Spring Bonnie, and Spring Freddy animatronics who are out to kill you. Only for Fredbear himself to kill you in the end of the game, and if you look closely in his mouth, you could see the head of a girl inside of him, implying that the mother is too late and her daughter has been long since dead. Okay, so that was the story. Now, what do I think of Those Nights At Fredbears are itself? Well, to my surprise, this fan game is actually pretty amazing in terms of quality. There is an actual story to it, although not a perfect one, we will get to that in a minute, and the game has voice acting and cutscenes. But unfortunately, the game does start to fall apart really quickly when you examine it, as the game does have a fuck ton of problems. Now, I know I can't really complain, as this is free to play like every FNAF fan game, but in all honesty, I don't care, suck it up. Alright, so my first problem with this game is the story itself, because it is really stupid in terms of realism. Now, stories, realism, and lore when it comes to FNAF is never perfect, let's be fair. And Those Nights At Fredbears are is the spitting image of that.
You're a spitting image.
But why do I think the story is stupid, you may be wondering? Well, here's why. So like I said earlier, the game is all about a mother who has become a security guard at Fredbear's family diner so that she could find her daughter, or at the very least find some clues as to how she disappeared. Now, surely right here, you must have raised your eyebrows. Like, who and why in the right mind would just walk into the building and be like, "Hello, me want job please," just so that you could hopefully find your child when you could just like, oh, I don't know,
call the fucking police.
But FnafFan Productions, in the opening cutscene of the game, the mother heard her daughter screaming over the phone. That's why she came to the diner. Yeah, I don't give a shit. She still could have just called the police and let them sort it out regardless. Also, as the game progresses, the story gets less and less relevant to the whole thing about the mother's daughter. Like, from night 3 onwards, the story pretty much just becomes non-existent. There's no more objectives, nothing. The mother just fucking gives up looking for her daughter and she just becomes an employee of Fredbear's. That's it. It's like Aiden just gave up halfway through. I could see where he was going for the story. However, the game really feels like Aiden is not exactly the expert writer. And my next issue with Those Nights At Fredbears is the gameplay, as it doesn't really make the game any better. For some odd reason, Aiden decided to have the game in this cinematic 2:35 aspect ratio, along with an incredibly blurry depth of field. Now, depth of field is nothing new in video games, and I'm sure any gamer would agree with me in saying that this feature is insufferable in video games. It's an incredibly annoying feature, and there really is just no purpose to it. It's just an over-the-top sexy aesthetic, that's it. And in Those Nights At Fredbears it's just a spitting image as to why everyone hates depth of field. Wait, did I just say Those Nights At Fredbears is a spitting image twice? What is wrong with me? Because of this annoying blur effect, you can't see anything, making this feature a nightmare, especially if you're trying to see where the animatronics are. Again, I could see where Ada was going for here. I know not being able to see where the animatronics are does kind of raise the scare factor a little bit, but the reason why I don't like it is because it feels kind of pointless for a horror game. If you don't want players to see where the animatronics are, then just, I don't know, make the map dark and have the player use a flashlight to see instead. And the final issue I have with Those Nights At Fredbears still staying on the topic of gameplay, are the animatronics. While I don't find the look of the animatronics repulsive, on the contrary, I think the animatronics look pretty amazing in my opinion. But it's to do with the gameplay that really bothers me about them. For whatever reason, probably stupidity or lack of knowledge of coding, who knows, the animatronics don't actually chase you in this game. You can die in the game if you stumble across one and you have no time to react, but if you spot one and if the animatronic sees you, they don't actually run after you or chase you like how they normally do in other free-roam FNAF fan games. And also they don't spot you from like a million miles away and chase you. The animatronics just instead follow a set pattern cycle, many around Fredbear's room, the bathrooms, the dining area, and an occasional kilometer into the hallways. That's it. So they're not really that much of a threat. Theoretically, it could be a good mechanic if the game had minimal lighting, where the game would be so dark that you could even see them, relying completely on sound. But because of the fact that a map is brightly lit, you can easily see where the animatronics are, and you can easily outrun them without a chase. And because of the fact that the animatronics don't even walk to your office, you could just camp in your office every night like a coward and you would be completely fine. That being said though, the developer had a trick up his sleeve, as there is only one animatronic that is a threat, Fredbear. After night 3, if you sit tight in your office all night and not roam around the building at all, Fredbear will eventually come out and will kill you. To beat Fredbear, you have to go to a stage on the left-hand side of the dining area and close his curtain to stop them from slowly opening completely and letting Fredbear escape. So I guess you could say I'm wrong with the whole animatronics not being a threat at all statement, but Fredbear only activates from Night 3 onwards, so fuck you, I'm still right. All in all, Those Nights At Fredbears is a pretty mixed bag of a fan game. The map is pretty well designed as well as the animatronics, and the story is intriguing, but the story does kind of fall off as the game progresses, and the visuals are well over the top. It's a pretty mid fan game, 5 out of 10. Okay, so yeah, all in all, Those Nights At Fredbears was quite a mid-fan game. However, the reason why I wanted to talk about this game and its problems is so that I could tell you how much of a step up Those Nights At Fredbears New Destiny is. So Those Nights At Fredbears New Destiny is yet another free-roam FNAF fan game that was released on the 4th of June 2024 and was made by a developer by the name of Rofne. Did I say your name right? Is it Rofne or Rofne? I don't fucking know. Rofne? Those Nights At Fredbears New Destiny is the real reason why I wanted to make this video, because I wanted to show you how all of the other incarnations of this game in the past have got nothing compared to New Destiny. Heck, maybe even the original Those Nights At Fredbears game itself. But why though? Why do I think Those Nights At Fredbears New Destiny is amazing? Well, let's get reviewing. So like with Those Nights At Fredbears Those Nights At Fredbears New Destiny also has its own story to it. Now unfortunately, the story itself is quite basic really. In a nutshell, taking place in the year 2000, weirdly, the game is all about a new employee who is hired as a night guard at Fredbear's family diner after a murder just happened.
There's been a murder.
And in the opening cutscene, where I barely fucking hear anything what's being said by the way, we see that a group of employees are talking about how weird the new night guard is, particularly about how relaxed and chill he was while he was talking about the murder, kind of implying that the new guard may or may not have something to do with it. The night guard is tasked to sit through all 5 nights watching the 4 animatronics in the restaurant, them being Fredbear himself, Spring Freddy, Spring Bonnie, and a golden version of Plush Trap, who roam around the building and get more and more glitchy and aggressive as the game progresses. But the phone guy in the game just dismisses the guard claims of the animatronics moving around.
Hey, so the staff saw your reports on the animatronics supposedly moving around during your shift. Unfortunately, the footage from the cameras got corrupted. It only shows Spring Bonnie changing poses and Spring Freddy twitching a bit, so since there's no evidence that, fully support your claims, the owners decided to take no further action, so sorry about that.
And then at the end of the game, we see flashing blue and red lights of a police car with someone, possibly the night guard himself, quietly saying why as he's being arrested. Yeah, that's it. The story is really half-baked, to be honest. It doesn't feel rewarding at all.
That's it?
Why do I think Those Nights At Fredbears New Destiny is, in my opinion, the best incarnation of Those Nights At Fredbears ever, when I'm being very critical of this game's story? Well, the reason why this game gets a lot more golden stars than Those Nights At Fredbears is because it has more to do with the gameplay itself. Why? Let me explain. So, like how with something like Five Nights at Freddy's Final Hours, Those Nights At Fredbears New Destiny has a fuck ton of mechanics that are very, very unique and have never been seen before in any other FNAF fan game. Or at the very least, from what I've seen anyway. You're more than welcome to put on your glasses and go, well, actually, and write down in the comments about any fan game you know of that has similar mechanics. And you know something else? I wouldn't give a shit. Anyway, enough getting carried away. Why is the gameplay unique? Well, for starters, before the game actually starts with Night 1, you first have to do a whole tutorial in the game where it basically tells you about how to use a flashlight, where to find your office, and so forth. This is definitely a lot better than most free-roam fan games or even FNAF itself, where you're kind of just already thrown into the night with little to no tutorial and into the madness of trying to survive the night. What's even better is that the phone call actually pauses so that you can complete an objective, and when you're done with that, the phone call then resumes.
Spending most of your shift inside the office. To get to it, you need to go through the 2 arcade rooms and find a door with a sign over it that says private. Now that you're in the office, there are 2 large metal doors, close in case there. Right inside the building.
Which is definitely a lot better than just having the phone call play out while you're busy with the task. And it gives you time to explore the restaurant that you're in and get a basic understanding of the layout and where everything is. Which is quite good considering that the map is quite big. There are so many hallways and random rooms in many sizes, and you can easily go around in circles or get lost completely if you don't know your bearings. So the way how the introduction segment in New Destiny works is quite handy, but it's when the actual game starts that really shows New Destiny's golden nuggets. For example, the animatronics. So despite the animatronic roster being quite small, consisting of just 4 characters, the animatronics in New Destiny had their own set pattern and mechanics. Fredbear only moves when the power is out, and then from Night 4 onwards he runs around the restaurant. So kind of like how Freddy worked in FNAF 1. To stop Fredbear from activating before Night 4, you had to go to a generator to refuel it, as it will reset the power. Next up is Plushtrap, which is one of my favourites in this game. So unlike the other animatronics, Plushtrap doesn't hunt you down directly. He instead constantly moves around from shelf to shelf in the restaurant, and its main objective is to head to the power generator and sabotage it to shut down, which then allows Fredbear to activate and do his own thing. And so it is up to us to find Plushtrap, deactivate him, and put him back on a shelf. However, there's a twist. We can hold Plushtrap, but we can't hold him for too long, because if you do, he will then bite you, and if you get bitten 3 times, you'll die. So basically, Plushtrap doesn't want to kill directly, but if you hold him, he will want to kill you. Makes sense enough.
Don't touch me! Don't ever touch me! Don't touch me!
I love this character. He has such an amazing mechanic. And then Spring Freddy and Spring Bonnie are basically pretty much the same. They just roam around, chase you if they spot you, and kill you. There's not a whole lot to them. So basically, the developer took the same approach that Scott Corvin himself took when he made FNAF 1, where each animatronic had their own unique mechanic and movement patterns. It definitely makes New Destiny really fun to play and a lot more engaging. Having the animatronics have different mechanics and patterns gives the player a lot to learn about how each character works and what strategies we could take to beat them. Whereas in other free-run FNAF fan games, each character had the same primary objective, which is to just walk around and chase you and kill you on the spot. But while it does make the game fun and it allows you to come up with some form of strategy and where to hide and so forth, it can make the game very boring depending on how many times you replay it. So New Destiny definitely brought in a lot of new elements to make its free-roam gameplay more engaging. Staying on the topic of free-roam gameplay, another thing I like about New Destiny is that it actually forces you to do objectives and explore the restaurant. Let me explain what I mean by that. So a common problem I see with free-roam FNAF fan games is that there are no objectives other than the primary one, which is to just survive. There are no missions or anything like that, allowing players to basically just hide and camp in places like a coward throughout the night, which I really don't like. The whole purpose of free-roam FNAF fan games was, and still is to an extent, to provide a new level of horror to FNAF by having the player explore the environment that they are in and making new ways to survive against the animatronics. It really challenged the official FNAF games at the time. But then when you see people just straight up camping and hiding in a spot like a coward throughout the entire night, it's quite anticlimactic and a little bit embarrassing. But Those Nights At Fredbears New Destiny doesn't have those issues. In every night, the game forces you to get out of the office and explore the restaurant to complete an objective, whether it would be to refuel the generator or find Plushtrap and put him back on a shelf. You're never allowed to stay put in your office throughout every night, and if you do, the game will ensure that a suitable punishment is delivered to you, and I love it. It's what free-roam FNAF is supposed to be, in my opinion, and New Destiny is such a great example. So overall, Those Nights At Fredbears New Destiny is such an amazing incarnation of Those Nights At Fredbears. The animatronics are amazing, the graphics are great, the mechanics are good, it is an example of what a free-roam FNAF fan game is supposed to be. It's just overall really great. So yeah, those are some of the incarnations of the long-scrapped and forgotten Those Nights At Fredbears. Now of course, the games I covered are not the only remakes of Those Nights At Fredbears to exist. There are several incarnations of these games with the same name out there. The ones that are still up on GameJolt are not really hard to find. If I were to pick a recommendation on which incarnation of Those Nights At Fredbears is the greatest one, I think you all know what I'm gonna say. New Destiny. I highly recommend that you download it and play it. You'll never get bored of it. But of course, I also recommend playing Aidan Kelly's Those Nights At Fredbears, as well as the others that still remain out there somewhere. The Those Nights At Fredbears fan games are such a weird but interesting goldmine. It's so strange to think about what would life be like if the original Those Nights At Fredbears, being Nixon's Those Nights At Fredbears, never got scrapped and was released to the public. It would have been very popular for sure. It was such an ambitious and unique fan game, for its time anyway. But the impact would have made life very different. There would be no remakes, New Destiny wouldn't have existed, Those Nights At Rachel's wouldn't have existed. It would have been a very, very different world. So to be honest, I'm kind of glad the original Those Nights At Fredbears got cancelled. So in conclusion, While the original Those Nights At Fredbears got cancelled and was never released, it still played a huge role in the development of the FNAF fan game genre. It allowed people to experiment with and use their imaginations to see what a fully released Those Nights At Fredbears would have looked like. And it allowed people to bring in new mechanics that have never been seen before in any other FNAF fan game. Anyways, that was that. Thank you for watching. I hope it was informative and entertaining. Do you remember playing a Those Nights At Fredbears game at one point? Do you like Those Nights At Fredbears New Destiny? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like, share and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and Threads. Join my Discord server. Invite link is available in the about page and the pinned comments. And I shall see you all next time. Cheerio.